Okay, so this is the third video, picks right up. Just for those who may be curious, the 5-minute limit is actually a product of the software I'm using called Jing Pro. Jing Pro is a great little tool for taking video screencasts. If you want to check it out, I would highly recommend it. It's very cheap compared to the full-blown professional version that they have called Camtasia, which is fairly expensive software. Nice thing about Jing Pro, though, is it produces reasonably small file sizes. So if you do consulting or if you do presentations, I found Jing to be a really good way to do these types of screencasts. So anyways, back to the architecture here. So we've covered to-dos, comments, and lists. One thing to note is that a project member, for example, is master detail to a project, which makes sense because you only have this is a many-to-many, and it really belongs exclusively to a project, and once created never needs to be changed. However, and this is an important architectural note, a to-do list is associated to both a project and a milestone. So you have a to-do list that lives under a project, but it belongs to a milestone in terms of time and accountability. And milestones are allowed to be moved from project to project. So because of that, we can't actually create a master detail here, because otherwise, if we moved the milestone someplace else, there would either be a mismatch or we would have to copy the to-do list and close it out. Now, there are advantages to copying, there are disadvantages to copying, just like there are advantages and disadvantages to master detail. Maybe in the future we'll change that decision, but right now I've deliberately left it so that both to-do lists and messages are loosely related to a project, not exclusively related to one project forever. Let's talk about time entries. So one of the nice things that Basecamp allows is an easy way to enter time against to-dos. So the first step is to enable a to-do list with time tracking. And let's just associate this with a milestone for demo purposes. So we see here it says this is our related milestone. You'll see the little clock icons. This clock icon represents the fact that there are time entries associated with this to-do. And so, in fact, to enter a time, all you have to do is click on the time entry and set the time, set the date, click Add to Log. And so, in fact, now if we go over here to our Time tab, we can see that there are a couple of time items. So this is a description here. The most recent one that I just added doesn't have a description, but you can see it does show which to-do item it's associated with. That's how time is implemented in Basecamp. And based off of that, then, you can go ahead and run reports that show everybody's hours, and it totals things up for a period of time. So the time reporting is fairly simple within Basecamp itself, but usually meets all of your needs for kind of aggregating time and copying it over. Now, I don't know yet that I want to create a custom reporting method. It's possible on top of the normal reporting that Salesforce does. But we can certainly go ahead and recreate the time management itself. So we have a time entry. It has a description, which is this section. It has a time, and it has a person that it's associated with. So we have hours, we have a project, and then the owner represents the person that it's associated with. Effective date is also different from created date, because frequently you're creating your time on a different date than it actually applies to. So we keep track of that difference there. And then the only other thing that I haven't really talked about is milestones. Milestones just represent a specific date that something is due. They're really not that complex. It's basically a title, who's responsible for it, and what date it's on. And so the milestone object is pretty simple. It's completed, do we send a reminder, who's responsible for it, and what's the due date. So that concludes these videos. Thank you for watching. Please give me any feedback.